evening, welcome back to the channel. Tonight we are trying to photograph the Milky Way under the still blooming purple heather fields here. I brought Koen with me and we'll also talk maybe about Koen's next big step in astrophotography. Let's see if we can find some compositions. So we're now first scouting for some foregrounds while it's still blue hour. The sky is beautiful orange behind me. Yeah, maybe we are a bit too late to scout for really good foregrounds, but yeah, we still have some light left, so let's see what we can find. Found a first possible composition. It is maybe a bit too complex, it's not the best, but as you can see we are running out of light. That means we're also running out of scouting time. I always advise to scout your compositions before you go to location, but sometimes it's just not the case. Anyway, we have here some beautiful a big bush of purple heather, and it leads as a sort of leading line with a path through a, how do you call it, mini valley to a pretty cool tree there. So I'll set this composition up. It's also facing the right direction where the Milky Way will rise. So let's see if this can work, and otherwise we'll just walk a bit further and see how that goes.
Okay, that composition just didn't work very well, to be honest. But when does a composition work? Sometimes you just feel it, but I normally try to look for 3 things to create a good composition. The first is subject. As an astrophotographer, I tend to think that the night sky itself is my main subject. But is it? Looking back to my favorite nightscape photos, they are usually the ones with a strong subject in the frame, beside only the stars themselves. It doesn't have to be super special, but a strong focal point can get a viewer grounded in your scene and add some extra interest. I also try to keep an eye out for balance in the composition. Doesn't my image seem to fall off to one side or another? It's all about spreading the visual weight in the image. One of the most basic guides is the rule of thirds, where the image is divided into 9 equal square parts. The 4 points where the lines intersect are where the average human eye tend to go first when watching to an image. It makes sense to place your main subject on one of those crossings and try to balance it out with some visual weight on the opposite intersection. It's just a guide, but it can give you a good starting point. After a bit of experience, your sense of balance will come more and more natural. The last element of a nice composition for me is depth. I try to find leading lines or repeating patterns that lead the eye into the scene and can create a 3D feel. A path, for example, is a cliché but effective way to create depth, but you can also try to use other patterns in the landscape to lead the viewer into the scene. Now let's go back to location and see what we can find with way too little daytime left.
So this is turning out to be a bit more difficult than I anticipated, to be honest. The previous composition I really couldn't find a good balance actually. I'm now working with that same tree, but I found 2 bushes of heather which are pretty well separated, which lead into that same tree I was shooting just before. I've opted for a 14mm composition, vertical, and it only leaves room for about 1/3 of the frame for a small Milky Way above it. But yeah, I think this shoot is all about the heather, of course with a bit of stars above it. So let's see how this turns out. A bit exciting because I had to do a focus tag, and I do not have much experience with a focus tag, but let's see how it turns out. Let's pack in and set up the tracker because Koen is already shooting, I think, somewhere else. We have set up our cameras, we are running our first stacks, and yeah, we shot some foregrounds first. I shot yeah, a pretty good composition. I think we're on 14 millimeters. What have you found composition-wise?
I think I found two interesting ones. One with some wooden pillars in a circle with the Milky Way above it.
Yeah.
Hope that's going to be nice. And
cool.
One typical with the purple header on sideways,
yeah.
some hills, the trees in the middle.
Awesome.
Lovely, I think.
Sounds good, sounds good. Really
yeah.
curious how that will turn out. At the beginning of this vlog I also said Koen was making his next big step into the world of astrophotography. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you're doing? So, what have you done?
Spending more money on astrophotography, basically.
As we all do sometimes.
yeah. So I bought a second body, a Sony A7 III, and that's currently being modified. Cool. So it will be my first astro-modified camera.
Wow.
Yeah.
Super cool. And what are you going to shoot more or better with an astro-modified camera? Of course, most of you will know, but for the beginners. For
the beginners, yeah. So I'm really looking forward to shooting all the nebulas, and especially the north side of the Milky Way in the Cygnus region with all the nice H-alpha structures in there. So.
Yeah, we were just fantasizing. Cygnus is right above us, and yeah, the H-alpha nebula in Cygnus are so beautiful. And normal cameras are not very sensitive for H-alpha nebula. It's around the infrared light. But if you modify your camera, they just remove that infrared sort of filter, and then you shoot all the beauty of those red nebulae. So that's really cool. I'm also looking forward to shooting some H-alpha with you. But for now, I think we will first enjoy this evening because it's really good again. It's super clear. It was supposed to be cloudy soon, but we have seen no clouds yet whatsoever. No. So nice. We are packing up now. Our shots are ready. We've had a beautiful night again. It's bizarre. It's the 5th or 6th time in I think 2 weeks or something that I'm out shooting, and it's clear. Still no clouds. I think this August might be the best month of astrophotography in the Netherlands as of yet. So yeah, we are enjoying it to the fullest. Yeah. How was your experience here?
It was awesome. Again, it was awesome. I think I've got 4 or 5 pretty nice shots. So yeah,
pretty
good night
nice. Out. Yeah, I think we'll close off then. And as I always say, if the shots turn out to be any good, here are the shots. Thank you guys for watching. See you on the next one. Bye.
In this composition, the main subjects are effectively the heather and the tree on the horizon. The two repeating heather bushes create depth and lead your eye through the landscape via the tree to the Milky Way behind. Koen made this image, which in my opinion is exceptionally well balanced and includes an effective strong subject. Another example of simple yet strong composition is this selfie he made, himself acting as an obvious subject. Besides that, the lines of the path create depth and the light beams of his head torch lead your eye into the Milky Way.